a trip can be very stressful, especially if it's a country you've never traveled to before. In today's video, I'm going to cover 5 topics that you'll need to consider when planning your trip to the Dominican Republic. Those topics are an e-ticket, airport transfers, safety, how to pick a room at your accommodation, and tipping. First up, let's talk about an e-ticket. An e-ticket is not the same thing as a visa, but even if you are not required to have a visa to enter the country, you still must complete this form and obtain an e-ticket. You are going to have to show proof of having this e-ticket when trying to board your flight to the Dominican Republic. We had several people tell us that they were not aware that they needed this and therefore were turned away at the gate. We even had people tell us that those who could not get the form completed and show proof of it before the boarding closed actually missed their flight and had to be rescheduled for a later flight at their expense. The good news is obtaining an e-ticket is actually a fairly simple process. All you have to do is go to the Dominican Republic's e-ticket website, review the information they provide, complete your form, and pay a $28 USD per person fee. For us, when we did this process online, we had our e-ticket in our email probably within 10 minutes of completing this process. I can't speak to if that is normal, but that is what happened for both myself and my husband. Now, we would recommend that you print a copy of your e-ticket application as well as having a digital copy. As for us, when we went through the customs in the Dominican Republic, the customs agent asked us for a physical copy of our e-ticket. You can see here you're going to need some pretty basic information about yourself, but don't forget to have your passport number, your airline, as well as your flight numbers for both your arriving and departure flights to and from the Dominican. You will also need the information about your accommodation, so your Airbnb, your hotel, wherever that might be. On the next page, you will verify the information that you've provided, pay your fee, and again, your ticket will be emailed to you. Once you've completed that pretty simple process, this is what your e-ticket will look like. The top section is going to be for your arrival, and the bottom section will have your departure information. This next section of information only applies if you're using American Airlines to get to the Dominican Republic. They use a service called VeriFLY. This is a free app that you will need to download onto your phone before you check in to your American Airlines flight online. Once you're in the app, you're going to need to set up your personal information, including your booking number for your flight to the Dominican Republic. Once you have that set up in there, you're going to see that you have each leg of your flight in here, and you're going to need to click on each one of those and complete the actions required. One of those required actions will actually direct you to the e-ticket website I've just shown you and have you go through that entire process. So if you're flying American Airlines, it's really important to remember that the first step is to download this app, set up your profile, get your flight information into their system, and go through each leg of your flight and follow the required action information. Now that we have the paperwork we need to get into the country, let's talk about how you're going to get from the airport to your hotel. The first really helpful thing you need to know is exactly how long of a drive it is from point A to point B. The next thing you need to do is be paying attention to how many minutes you're paying for through a transfer service. You can see here that each of these range from 20 to 30 minutes, but for example, our hotel was a 40-minute drive from the airport. Lastly, you want to make sure that you're paying for a round-trip service so that way you know you're covered both ways. Let's talk briefly about safety. I can tell you that since we knew we would only be there for 4 days, we decided ahead of time that we were not going to leave our all-inclusive resort. With that being said, I can still point out some of the things we noticed. Here you can see a gentleman approach us on the beach to try and sell my husband some cigars. He politely said no thank you, and the gentleman continued to walk on. You will also kind of notice that he's wearing a uniform of sorts. All of the beach vendors were wearing the same uniform, plus they had a badge that identified them as someone who was allowed to approach you to sell goods. The resorts all also have security guards on either end of their property. These security guards watch out for people who are not supposed to be on that particular resort and kindly move them along. Lastly, all of the resorts are gated, so when you turn onto the property in your airport transfer, security is going to stop you, ask for your name, and verify that you do have a reservation at their hotel. There are literally hundreds of resorts in Punta Cana, and while I can't help you select the one you should stay at, I can give you a few tips for things you should look for. I'm going to use our resort, the Live Aqua Beach Club, as an example to show you what we look for when booking a room. I took this photo directly from the gallery of the Live Aqua Beach Club's main website. You can see that this photo makes it appear as though the resort is completely surrounded by trees and there are mountains in the distance. However, if you compare that photo to this one that we took when we were there in April, you can see the landscape around the resort has drastically changed, but they have not updated their website. I point this out because it's always good to do your research. Watch YouTube videos, check multiple sites, read the reviews, and see if everything you're finding about the resort is consistent. In this next part, I'm going to talk specifically about the different room types at the Live Aqua Beach Club and how we would go about selecting the room that we wanted to book. To make this process easier, I've condensed all of the different room types available at Live Aqua Beach Club into this chart. For example, this resort has 11 different room types, all at different price points. But if budget wasn't going to be your deciding factor, how would you know which room would be the best fit for you? This is where doing research really factors in, because by watching other YouTube videos and reading reviews, you'll be able to get a really good lay of the land to help you make this decision. Let's go through the different types of rooms, the view they would have, as well as their location on the property. You can see from this diagram that the Premium Garden View, Premium Deluxe Garden View, and Swim Up Garden View rooms are either going to face the empty lot to one side of the resort or face the neighboring resort on the other side. Next up, we have all of the rooms that denote they have a pool view, as well as our Fuego and Honeymoon suites. These rooms are going to be in the same buildings as our Garden View rooms, but they will face the inside of the property instead of the out. Lastly, we have what they consider their oceanfront/ocean view suites, and those are going to be your Tierra, Vento, and Luna suites. There are a few other things I'd like to point out to help you make your decision. For example, those two blue lines denote where the main driving path is for all of the resort golf carts. Secondly, you can see that red arrow in the very back. That is between building 2 and the main building. This is where the outdoor nightclub is, where they have live music and dance parties. Third, you're going to see those two squares. This is the main pool and the volleyball area. Both of these are very loud. They have music going late into the night. They have dance parties. So these are just things to keep in mind as well. Some of the rooms will also give you access to the Aqua Club. You can see here all of the different benefits the Aqua Club will give you while staying at the resort. Here you can see all of the different restaurants and the coffee bar that you'll have access to when you're at the Live Aqua Beach Club. The only thing we should note here is that the Mediterranean restaurant is open for Beach Club members only at breakfast time. All non-Beach Club members will either have to use the buffet or room service for breakfast each day. Lastly, let's discuss tipping at an all-inclusive resort. Our stay was going to be for 4 days, so we brought 100 $1 bills with us so that way we'd have plenty of money to tip all of the staff. At an all-inclusive resort, it's not just the wait staff that you'll be tipping. You'll also be tipping your housekeeping staff, your bellman, your building's concierge, as well as any of the staff on the beach. We went through the entire $100 that we brought with us in that 4-day weekend. If you want more information about our trip to the Dominican Republic, including a full room tour, please check out the other video on our channel. Thanks so much for watching, and happy travels!